Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in this video we are back at Kasia's Creative Pet Keeping's fish room. It's really awesome. We're going to be hitting some of the highlights. If you'd like a longer video with more detail, check out the description below, check out her YouTube channel. A lot of cool fish, a lot of variety. I hope you enjoy the video, so stay tuned. So this is the fish room. There are a number of tanks in here packed with really cool fish. We've got some bettas in here. This is a 20 long that has a couple of tank dividers in it with some really interesting bettas. Now you're going to have to forgive me. I wasn't actually planning on filming when I came here, and then I wound up seeing all the really cool fish and the awesome setups. I'm like, all right, I've got to film. So I'm doing this on my phone, not my regular camera. So I did the best I could with the tools that I had at the time. So just keep that in mind as we go through this fish room tour. But these are really pretty bettas. I like what she does with each section of the tank. Kind of switches them up. Nice little habitat for each one. Really awesome. This next fish is probably my favorite in the fish room. This is Placidochromis jello reef. These are such pretty fish. They're in a 55 gallon right now. The males are the ones that are the really shiny blue with the yellow tails, and then all the silvery fish that you see there, at least most of the silvery fish, are the females. So we've got two obvious males here. I think at least one more, possibly two, maybe males that are subdominant, not showing colors, but that's usually what you get with a lot of the peacocks and the haps, where the males will have really nice bright colors and the females will usually either be silver or brown. So often people really want the males and they'll keep an all male tank, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. The ratios here are good with the couple males and the multiple females. She has gotten these to breed before in the past, which is cool. There is also a random yellow lab in this 55 gallon, but it's a really nice setup. I enjoyed watching these fish. You can see the dominant male here. He's kind of got his own spot and he's chasing other fish away, which is kind of what they do. Usually if you're going to keep peacocks and haps together, especially a lot of males together, you'd probably want a rather large tank, 75 gallon minimum. Even better if you've got like a big 125 or a 150 or even larger, to keep a lot of males together. You overstock them, keep the aggression down. But for a breeding setup, this works out really well. Now, a lot of the rest of the fish room, what I like about it, there's smaller fish and a lot of smaller cichlids that can go in small tanks, and that's what we're going to spend a lot of our time on in this next part here. So this is Tigra pictilis. We actually have some of these in our fish room. This one's a little bit shy. There are babies. She's bred them. So here we've got a bunch of little babies in a breeder box, which is pretty cool. This is a really cool Lake Tanganyikan fish. Now, what we're looking at here, these are standard 20 gallon tanks. Some of them are 10 gallon tanks. So we're looking at fish that can stay in a relatively smaller tank if maybe you're just keeping a pair. The Cichlids reagani, these are really cool fish as well. And again, this is a pair in a smaller tank. 20 gallons ish, 20 longs, 20 highs are usually pretty good for a fish like this. We just got a bunch of Cichlids ornatus that we did in a recent video that have a little bit more yellow than this, but they're the same basic shape. Very interesting fish. We've got them in a 20 long as well, and I suspect they're going to work out just fine. This fish, Placidochromis crebensis, if you want to see them fully colored up as an adult, check out the fish room tour we did of Mario's fish room. I'll put that in the description below. You're going to love these fish, especially as adults. I had this fish in my fish room as well. This is Nanacara anomala. This is one of those fish that is really dependent upon the substrate color in terms of its coloration. So right now it's on a white sand. It's very, very light. The darker the substrate, the darker that fish gets. And if you go with like a black sand, they almost get like a muddy color. The males will get kind of blue, which is pretty, but unfortunately they also get really, really dark. We actually did a video on how substrate color impacts fish color with some really good examples. I'll put that in the upper right hand corner as well as in the description below if you want to see how much substrate color can impact the color of your fish. It's actually pretty crazy. This is a great fish tank, the invisible fish, love it. Banana wasn't letting me film, so I'm like, all right, I got to pet Banana. Now these are Neolamprologus multifasciatus, otherwise known as the multi. These are shell dwellers. We've got a lot of these in our 50 gallon low boy. In fact, these are my grandbaby fish, and they're doing awesome in a 20 long. Again, this is a fish that you can keep in a 20 gallon tank, and they'll breed and they don't eat each other's babies, and that's really kind of cool. Lamprologus ocellatus gold. We have these in our fish room as well. And I've got species profiles on both of these shell dwellers that I'll put in the description below. These are great fish. They're super pretty. Right now you're looking at a 20 long, and she's got this line of sight block here in the middle because they're pretty aggressive. For a shell dweller, they're on the more aggressive side. Usually in a 20-gallon tank, maybe you get a pair, maybe you get a couple males, couple females, and give them each side of the tank. Kind of what she's done here. You usually have to pull the fry out if there's other fish in the tank because they will get eaten. This tank was kind of interesting. It was her tank where she keeps her long fin albino plecos. You can see one here. I like this fish. It's very pretty. We just got some long fin albino body, but they're blue eyes, which is kind of cool. This is a tank that doesn't have anything in it. It's a 7.5 gallon. What would you put in that tank? I also have a lot of guppies here. You can see here, this is a guppy tank, kind of like a guppy Endler mix. It's a pretty tank, a lot of action. The camera's doing a bad job of picking up on some of the color, but there is a lot of color here. I like the planted tanks. I think she does such a good job planting the tanks in a way that really allows the fish to interact with their environment. Here we've got some Betta Mahachai. Kasia just gave us a pair. Joanna set it up. I'll put that video in the upper right hand corner. That was a cool setup that she did. She's got a pair in a 7.5 gallon tank, an aquascape tank, but these fish get really pretty as they get older. The males get a really nice blue, and even the females get some color. And ours are definitely showing color. She gave us a really good pair. I love this tank. This is a 20 gallon, and so often people wonder, oh, what can I keep with a Betta? Well, here's a good option. Here we've got some Endlers and some guppies in with this Betta, and they just kind of leave each other alone. A lot of action here. This Betta is particularly an active fish, likes to swim back and forth. Every time I'm there, that fish is going from one side of the tank to the other, just exercising his little heart away. Really like the plants. I think she did, again, a really good job of planting this tank, making it look awesome, and it's just such an appealing tank to look at when you're there and in person. This is a surprise tank, so there's nothing in it yet, but later on that weekend she actually put some new inhabitants in there, so you'll have to check out her channel to find out what they are. And then here she's got some of her Bettas in jars, and she changes these things out and maintains them. So that was a little brief overview of Creative Pet Keeping's fish room. If you want to see more, check out the longer fish room tour I did. I'll put that in the description below. Check out her channel. It's definitely a cool thing to see. So if you enjoyed this video, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.